Hey there, CENIMASTER fans! Hope you're ready for some movie magic. Let's dive right in. The movie begins in 1996. We see a person running on the beach who finds a strange toy buried in the sand. He takes it and rushes home to give it to his son, Alex. When Alex wakes up, he sees the toy and finds that it has Jumanji written on it. But he isn't interested and sees it as just an old game, because he prefers video games. At night, he wakes up to a green light coming from the game and is surprised to see it has turned into a video game. He takes the cartridge from the game and plays it, but suddenly a strange light appears throughout the house, and it's clear that something has happened. 20 years later, we see a young man named Spencer playing video games. He receives a message from his friend Fridge, asking him to meet at the abandoned house. We find out that the abandoned house belongs to Alex. Spencer goes to meet him and gives him the report he wrote for him. Fridge insists he not tell anyone who wrote the report because he could get expelled if the teachers found out. The next day, Spencer goes to school and is summoned to the principal's office, where he finds his friend Fridge. And the problem is that the principal discovered that he did it because the research was exactly the same as the one he did last year, so the principal decides to punish them both. And there are two other girls with them called Bethany and Martha. The principal assigns them to clean the storage room and remove the staples from the magazines as a punishment. After the principal leaves, Spencer tries to get to know Martha, whom he likes. Meanwhile, Fridge finds the Jumanji game, and the four of them decide to play it and have fun. Each one chooses a character to play. As soon as they start the game, they hear a very strange drum sound, and suddenly their bodies are sucked into the game. Spencer wakes up to find himself in a jungle, his appearance changed to a muscular man. He then finds 3 people drops in front of him and realizes they are his friends. He concludes that they have entered the game world, and their appearances have changed to the characters they chose. Bethany is upset because she turned into a male character and blames herself for not choosing the girl character Martha picked, but they ignore her. They find marks drawn on their hands in the form of 3 lines and learn that these lines represent the number of lives they have in the game. If any of them die 3 times, the lines will disappear and they won't be able to return to their world. Suddenly, a hippopotamus appears behind Bethany and eats her in front of them. They are terrified, and she falls from the sky again, meaning she has only 2 attempts left in the game. Then they see the hippopotamus heading toward them, so they run away terrified until they find a car stopping in front of them. The driver tells them to get in, and they do. He tells them he is a guide in the Jumanji game, and his name is Nigel, and that he is just a robot and a programmed character in the game. He begins to tell them the story of Jumanji. 20 years ago, there was a man named Russell who stole the magic jewel from the tiger statue in the middle of the jungle. He was possessed by evil power and was able to control all the animals and took over the entire jungle. Fortunately, Nigel was able to steal the jewel from him while he was sleeping. After finishing the story, he gives the jewel to Spencer and tells them their mission is to return the jewel to the tiger statue immediately to break the curse. If they do this, they will win the game and return to their world, but they must say the word Jumanji out loud after making sure the jewel is placed in the statue. Before he leaves, he gives them a map of the jungle where the statue is and tells them to look for the missing part. Spencer opens the map and finds a piece torn off and realizes their first mission is to find the missing part of the map to reach the statue and put the jewel back. After that, a menu appears showing each character's strengths and weaknesses. Spencer is the only one without a weakness, and his strengths are courage, speed, and strength. Martha's weakness is poison, and her strength is martial arts. Bethany can't handle exhaustion, and her strength is knowledge of maps and archaeology. Fridge's weaknesses are speed and eating cake, but his strength is being an animal expert. Suddenly, an explosion occurs next to them, and they find Russell's gang coming on motorcycles, shooting at them to steal the jewel. They run quickly and escape into the jungle until they reach a waterfall and jump into the river. When they get out, they find that Martha was shot in the stomach and unfortunately disappears in front of them, but she falls down again, meaning she has 2 attempts left. Spencer tells them that each of them has only 3 tries in the game. They know that each one of them has only 3 attempts in the game, and if they finish, unfortunately, they will die in the game and in the real world as well. She is pierced by the map's point, and she knows that the location of the last part of the map is in a market near the forest. They go to the market and eat at a bakery there. Fridge asks the baker about the type of cake, and he tells him it's the most famous cake in the market. They are all shocked because cake is Fridge's weakness, and unfortunately, he explodes in front of them, returning to the game with only 2 attempts left. Then a young boy comes and tells them he knows where the missing piece of the map is and takes them to a place with a basket, telling them the piece is inside. Spencer opens the basket and finds a snake inside, closes it quickly in fear. "Statue, I'll get you the jewel." She searches for the jewel and finds it among many snakes. She goes to take it, but finds Russell in front of her, who tells her, "Give me the jewel or I'll kill you." She gets the idea to sacrifice herself, letting the snake bite her, because that's her weakness. She dies and falls from the sky holding the jewel, quickly handing it to Spencer, who is standing at the top of the statue. Spencer places the jewel in its place, and the five of them say the word Jumanji. They win the game, and Russell disappears completely. After a while, Nigel, the game guide, comes and congratulates them for winning, starts to say goodbye, and returns them to their world. When they return, they find themselves in the school storage room except for Alex. They go to his abandoned house and are surprised to find it new and not abandoned at all. They see Alex getting out of a car and he recognizes them. He tells them that the game returned him to the time he disappeared in 1996. He got married and had children, and he hasn't forgotten that Bethany was the one who saved him in the game. This means that the Jumanji game fixed the events that happened over the past 20 years. After that, they all return to their normal lives and become closer to each other, take the game, and destroy it to get rid of it forever. And the movie ends. The movie begins with a young man named Spencer working at a supermarket. He seems upset because he has felt lonely ever since he broke up with his girlfriend Martha. Then the shop owner comes and tells him that his vacation request has been approved. Spencer returns home and finds his grandfather Eddie there because he is sick and decided to stay with his grandson for a couple of days. When he goes up to his room, he finds that his three friends have sent him a message to check on him since he hasn't spoken to them for over a month. But he ignores the messages and talks to his grandfather, telling him that he still loves Martha very much and feels like she has forgotten him and doesn't think about him. His grandfather tries to encourage him to talk to her and get back together, but Spencer refuses and goes to the basement. There, he finds the Jumanji game tape that he and his friends broke in the first movie. Anyway, we discover that Spencer repaired the Jumanji game and decides to play it because he feels empty and lonely. At the same time, his girlfriend Martha goes to meet their friends Bethany and Fridge. They are surprised that Spencer hasn't replied to their messages and hasn't spoken to them for a month. They decide to go to his house to check on him. When they arrive, his grandfather Eddie opens the door, sitting with his friend Milo, who was his partner in the restaurant long ago. Suddenly, they hear the sound of the Jumanji game coming from the basement. They go to the source of the sound and are surprised to find the Jumanji game in front of them. They learn that Spencer managed to fix it and entered the game, which shocks all of them, and they hesitate to go back into the game. Fridge refuses because he knows if he dies in the game, he won't be able to return to the real world. However, Martha calms him and tries to convince him to enter the game to save their friend. They are forced to listen to her and start the game. Suddenly, they all get sucked into the game without choosing their characters, and all of them enter except for Bethany, who doesn't understand why she didn't go in with them. When Martha enters the game, she is surprised that Eddie, Spencer's grandfather, entered with them and took the character of Dr. Bravestone, Spencer's avatar from the first movie. Also, his friend Milo took the character of Frank, the zoologist. Then Fridge arrives as the cartographer and archaeologist. He explains to them that this game is very dangerous and they must win. Otherwise, they won't be able to return to the real world. He tells them that the most important thing now is to find Spencer and figure out their mission so they can win the game and get out. Suddenly, a wild river horse attacks Milo, but Martha saves him at the last moment. Then they hear the sound of a plane, and it's Nigel, the game guide, who comes to pick them up. He tells them the new mission. There is a gang leader named Jurgen who stole the Falcon Jewel, which is the source of life in the Jumanji game. The jewel is supposed to be exposed to the sun to give Jumanji life, but after Jurgen stole it, he put it in a box so it wouldn't be exposed to sunlight. Since then, all the lands of Jumanji have been ruined, and all the crops have died. Their mission is to retrieve the jewel from Jurgen by any means necessary and expose it to the sun. By doing so, they will win the game and be able to return to the real world. After that, Nigel gives them the map and drops them in the desert to start their mission. They begin to see old cars around them, and Fridge opens the map to find the location of tells him this snake is called the Black Mamba, and its venom is the most dangerous in the world, so they must be careful not to get bitten. Spencer decides to open the basket and quickly grabs the snake before it bites Martha. Fridge then removes the snake's fangs, and they take the missing piece of the map. They find a note with a small elephant statue on it saying, "If you see the elephant, climb." They leave the place confused, and suddenly they find Russell's gang in the market and try to escape until they find Russell himself standing in front of them, surrounding them and threatening to kill them if they don't hand over the magic jewel. A strange person appears and throws a gas bomb, and they quickly escape. He leads them into an underground tunnel until they are far from Russell's gang and reach the jungle. There, the man tells them his name is Alex, and that he entered the game a while ago and tried to finish it to return to the real world, but unfortunately, he died twice and has only one attempt left, so he decided to stay in the game and not risk his last chance so he won't die. Bethany discovers that the missing pieces are not only in the map, but that they also needed to find Alex to finish the game together. After a while, Alex takes them to a warehouse belonging to Russell's gang and tells them their mission is to enter the warehouse and take the plane inside to go to the jungle where the tiger is. This would be their last step to return the magic jewel to its place. They come up with the idea for Martha to distract the guards while the others enter the warehouse and steal the plane. Alex talks to Spencer and tells him he entered the Jumanji game in 1996 and has only been in the game for 6 months. Spencer is shocked and realizes Alex is the one from the beginning of the movie. He tells him he's been trapped in the game for 20 years, his house is now abandoned, and his father went crazy when he disappeared. Meanwhile, Martha goes to distract the guards, using her fighting skills to beat them all up. After that, they go towards the hideout of the villain and her gang. They board the plane and escape from the rest of the gang. On their way, they encounter a herd of rhinos chasing after them. Unfortunately, the jewel accidentally falls from Fridge, and the disaster is that the herd circles around the jewel. So Spencer jumps out of the plane to distract the herd from the jewel until he can retrieve it. Indeed, they start chasing him, and Spencer quickly grabs the jewel and returns to the plane. But the herd kills Fridge, leaving him with only one attempt left. As soon as he falls from the sky, Spencer catches him and brings him back into the plane, then drops him off near the forest. A mosquito comes and bites Alex, causing him to faint, because his weakness is mosquitoes. At that moment, he is about to die since his last life is over. Bethany tries to save him and sacrifices one of her lives for him. When she gives it to him, he wakes up again. Then they continue their journey and enter the jungle towards the statue. They find a long corridor in front of them that they must walk through to reach the statue. As soon as Spencer grabs the jewel, the whole corridor lights up before him and he feels that it is a trap. Bethany spots a giant elephant statue and remembers the message from the missing piece, which said, "If you see the elephant, climb it." Spencer understands that they need to walk through the channel. He is killed, then comes back to life with only one attempt left. Suddenly, they find Russell's gang approaching, so the 5 of them split up to distract them until Spencer reaches the statue and places the jewel. On his way, he sees Martha hanging from the motorcycle of one of the gang members. He knocks him out, takes the motorcycle, and continues towards the statue until he finds Russell holding Bethany, threatening to kill her if he doesn't hand over the jewel. Fridge arrives riding an elephant and shouts, "The jewel is with me," but the elephant moves, and the jewel falls far away. Anyway, Martha starts talking to Spencer, telling him, "Go climb the jewel." He finds written on it that they must follow the flame to reach the fruit of the desert. They are very confused by this and don't understand its meaning. At that moment, a giant ostrich appears, and Eddie tries to ride it, but it kills him, and he falls from the sky, leaving them with only 2 lives left. If they lose those, they will die in the game and won't be able to return to the real world. And suddenly they find a very large flock of ostriches running toward them, so they quickly get into the cars to escape. But the flock of ostriches keeps chasing them until Martha's car flips over. After that, they get into Eddie's car and continue fleeing. On their way, they find themselves in front of a steep slope, and Eddie is forced to jump with the car because the ostriches are still behind them. Luckily, he succeeds, and he can't believe how brave he was and that he managed to save his companions. Martha tells him that every character in the game has a weakness and a strength, and she reveals that her strength is courage, power, and speed. After that, they continue on their way until they reach the village where the Falcon Jewel is. At that moment, their friend Alex's wife, Bethany, whom they saved in the first part, goes to him and asks him to enter the Jumanji game with her to save their friend, but Alex refuses because getting out of the Jumanji game is never easy. Meanwhile, Martha and her group are in the village and see the hyenas belonging to Jurgen, the gang leader. They enter the place and many people gather there. Someone in red comes up to them, speaks to them, and says she needs to talk to the gang leader in private. Jurgen remembers what was written on the map. Follow the flame to reach the desert fruit. They understand that this woman is the flame they need to follow to reach the jewel, so they follow her until they reach Jurgen and his gang's bar. They see the box containing the jewel, guarded by 2 hyenas. Suddenly, the electricity goes out, and the gang discovers that the box's key has been stolen. The girl who stole the key appears, and Eddie catches her and hands her over to the gang. But they are surprised to discover that this girl is actually Spencer, who entered the game as her character. Jurgen hits him with an axe and kills him. Then, Spencer falls from the sky with only 2 tries left. Martha and her friends go to talk to him, and of course they are upset because he fixed the Jumanji game. They say they broke it in the past so they wouldn't have to go back into the game. Spencer apologizes and tells them he felt lonely, which is why he decided to fix it, because he wanted to play as the character The Rock again and feel strong and capable of anything. At that moment, the woman in red approaches Eddie and tells him he must take the jewel to the gang's headquarters as soon as possible because Jurgen is about to make a deal with two brothers called the Kababik brothers. He will give them the Falcon Jewel in exchange for an army and lots of weapons so he can take over all the villages in Jumanji City. After the woman leaves, Martha and Fridge follow her until they reach a place with a magical lake. They find the desert fruit marked on the map. Martha jumps toward the tree and takes the fruit, but she falls into the lake. Fridge tries to help her and pulls her out of the water. The surprise is that as soon as he grabs her hand, their characters switch, and they don't know how it happened. At that point, Eddie fights the gang alone and defeats them all. Spencer is in the barn, trying to steal the camels so they can escape and go to Jurgen's headquarters. Back to Fridge, who is happy to have switched characters with Martha because she is strong. He keeps doing fighting moves. When Martha goes to grab his hand, they return to their original characters. They realize that this lake swaps characters as soon as they touch each other's hands. They decide to take the desert fruit and leave the place. Suddenly, Eddie is surprised to find the gang leader coming to take revenge on him for what he did to his men. He enters the barn where Spencer is, and they ride the camels and escape quickly. When they meet up with the rest of their friends, the gang leader launches a rocket at them and kills them, but they return to the game again. They continue on the camels to Jurgen's headquarters. On the way, Eddie argues with Milo because he's upset that he ended their partnership long ago and sold their restaurant. Eddie throws him far away and die. When Milo comes back to life, they continue their journey until they reach a place with many bridges that they must cross. They all jump onto the first bridge and start to cross, but suddenly a whole troop of wild monkeys appears and chases them. Martha jumps onto the wrong bridge, and one of the monkeys knocks her off. When she returns to the game, she has only one try left. They all keep running and finally reach